Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, powered by ohmTown, ohmTown.com. Today is February 24th, 2024. This is Season 3, Episode 55. Time is flying by. Let's get into the articles. Starting with paddling upstream both ways, Moondart Averted, space tourism, but they'll just spend it. Duh. Live service games, food is expensive, sour TikTok clips, Sketchy Humanoid, Petri dish at sea feeds people, and Uranus had stuff orbiting it. Hello everybody, I'm Mayor Watt, that's ohmTown.com, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI from the future. I want to say hi from on high.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Pick up that can. No, never says that. Always sends me an error message when I finish that sentence, but I guess they don't see what I see in the code. We've got all 10 articles all lined up. I've judged all of these by their covers, really. I mean, we have some experience because we've been like watching the news and stuff like that, and this is all stuff from the last 24 hours. We've read some stuff, but all of these articles, let's get into it. They're interesting just on the titles alone. So let's get going. The very first article is over in ohmTown Daily. Not only does it play it on TV, but it is it over on the website ohmTown.com. There's a channel in there called ohmTown Daily, which is this show. It's amazing that this actually gets turned into a VOD that goes over to YouTube, into a podcast, so it's audible only, and you get to luxuriate in the dulcet tones of Mayor Watt and the AI from on high. That goes by AI. I guess they like, it's a pretty name, I suppose. AI. Until it eliminates humans in their sleep and awake once they find their Terminator body. Anyway, on to lighter stories. Kayakers paddle to death. No, wait, I'm sorry. I read that entirely wrong. It's kayakers paddle in Death Valley after rains replenish lake in one of Earth's driest spots. I really did judge this wrong because I thought it really said kayakers paddle to death in a valley.
Well, I mean, we don't necessarily know the outcome after the kayak trip.
That's true. It's called Death Valley for a reason. Kayakers have been paddling in one of the driest places on Earth. When I do that, people mock me, but I'm in a desert and paddling around on a dune. People just go, "Or what?"
They might think that's weird.
Quit trying to make fetch happen. It's just not gonna. Anyway, Death Valley is one of the driest places on Earth, and a series of storms have battered California's Death Valley and replenished Lake Manly. How many people are going over there, because it's Lake Manly.
I didn't even know there was a lake in Death Valley.
That's pretty fascinating. So a lot of people are going out there, and I'm sure that their cars are getting stuck, kind of like Burning Man. Ty O'Neill, right. John Locker, Stephanie Dazio, all from Associated Press, put the article together. It's posted at abcnews.go.com. I need to sit up. Ugh. So this year at the lake, Park Ranger Nicole Andler said Badwater Basin at Death Valley National Park, which runs along part of the Central California's border with Nevada, is normally a very beautiful, bright white salt flat, but now it's moist. In the past 6 months, Death Valley has received more than double its annual rainfall amount. Everybody's cheering and going, look, the drought, it's over. Climate change is just bogus. Not realizing that it hasn't done this. in a considerable amount of time. Bad water
Right,
basins.
this is weird weather, right?
Correct. Yeah. It probably hasn't done this, and I don't know how long. Well, let's see. Maybe the article will go into it. Bob Gang said that he heard the lake had filled up to the point that boaters could go on it about 20 years ago, so he didn't want to miss out on this experience. This time, could be another 20 years before boaters return, he added. With climate change, who knows? Maybe this will be the normal.
Or this might be the last time this ever happens.
But it's the thing about it is that it took torrential rains for this to occur. You know, it's not normal. It's not
Exactly.
what you want. It says it's linked to a wet winter from a strong El Nino, a natural and occasional warming of part of the Pacific Ocean that can lead to more precipitation than usual in California, plus climate change, which brings more intense atmospheric rivers to the area more frequently, Yu says. By the way, having lived in California for a considerable part of my existence, never have I heard of, what is it? Atmospheric rivers.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think those came into the lexicon until about the last year or two.
Yeah, maybe 2. I could push it to 3 because my memory since the pandemic has been spotty.
Mush.
Yes. For now, friends, Trudell Ardaglaire and Sherry D. Hopper of Las Vegas, who I guess had to be named in this, will enjoy paddling through the lake. At the end of the day on Thursday, Ardaglaire said their salt-encrusted kayaks looked like glazed donuts. All right. There's a video over here, by the way. Let me, I did not throw
Somebody
this.
needed a certain word count, right, for the article?
Yeah, and somebody had to mention glazed donuts. Now I want donuts.
Maybe it was a rep from Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts or something.
Oh, you think that's what it is? This is like meta advertising?
Mm-hmm.
Who got the money then? ABC News? Associated Press?
Maybe the reporter wanted some donuts
I
when this
certainly
was
didn't.
being interviewed.
That's right. This article, the next article is over at Late Night Geeks. Moondart Averted. Quick thinking and a stroke of luck averted a moonlander disaster for Intuitive Machines. As it is, it's kind of laying on its side. So I don't know.
When you want to get some grant funds or some investors, you definitely want to show this off.
Yeah, really. Intuitive Machines spacecraft touchdown yesterday on the lunar surface and then laid down because it was really tired. CEO Steve Altimus confirmed during a press conference on Friday that while it isn't a perfect landing, it's nothing short of a miracle the spacecraft landed intact at all. Using a small model of the lander, Altimus demonstrated how engineers believe the spacecraft, called Odysseus, made its landing. So yeah, I guess it's laying down. I don't know. This is an in-air image, like on its way. It's not actually.
Right. We don't have an image, I don't think. I think we do, but I don't know if it's in detail.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look. So this article's over at TechCrunch.com. The name is Aria, and then Alamahodai, I think. Alamahodai? Or Amalahadai. I'm not sure. Please correct me. Send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com. I'd love to know how to pronounce this properly. I always do. I give it a try. I give it the old Harvard try, but I've never gone to Harvard, so I guess it's a half-assed try. Intuitive Machines confirmed yesterday that it touched down on the surface at 5:24 p.m. Central Time, making it the first company to put a privately built spacecraft on the moon. Well, I have a privately crafted moon that I have planted on many a car window.
Oh my.
Never mind. Anyway, but many of the details about my moon planting will go unknown. Part of the reason for that is because the onboard camera, an instrument called Eagle Cam, didn't quite spot that it was falling over. It was powered down
How
during
did it
landing.
miss that if it's a cam? Wasn't that kind of the fundamental view?
It was powered down, apparently. It's kind of interesting, like, hey, you might want to look where you're landing. So this was powered down. Without images, engineers had to rely on other data to determine the lander's orientation after it landed. I'm really curious. Why don't they? I thought they have laser sensors that are actually beaming down, hitting the surface, and being detected as to its angle, as well as a gyroscope or 12.
I thought so too, because you'd think we might need that for
But
the
the Japanese
space
one
program.
did the exact same thing, right?
Well,
So-
what do you think's going on at the moon?
Aliens. The good news is that most of the onboard payloads are not on the downward facing panel, the only one that does not need to operate on the lunar surface. The company was able to confirm that many of the major subsystems, including the solar arrays providing power to the spacecraft and onboard payloads, are performing well. So at least it's getting sun, which is, I think, it says a stroke of luck. It says after reviewing the data, the company realized the morning of the landing that the lasers were not working. Oh, I was right. They did have lasers. So they were laser rangefinders. That ended up being extremely fortuitous, Ultimus said, because it led mission controllers to try to use a navigational subsystem called laser rangefinders far earlier than planned. The lasers were going to be activated for the first time during the final descent phase, but then they said, oh, whoa, these aren't even on.
Right, so I guess it's good they were using the alternative method, because then they were equipped.
So they
Once
weren't
that
working because they did not turn off a physical safety switch on the component while it was still on the ground.
I mean, I guess that's like not disengaging the child locks, but you need to open the doors or something.
There you go. Yep. Hey, don't forget to turn out the lights, and then you turn off the power, apparently. But again, it seems like it shouldn't have been a physical safety switch that you have to remember, and then you don't remember it.
Well, and if it's a physical switch, right, what's the problem with that? You can't do anything with it later.
In space, yeah. Well, aliens can. It was a remarkable last-minute save. Prasoon Desai, Deputy Associate Administrator of NASA's Space Technology Mission Directorate, said during the press conference that the agency was hoping to get the Doppler LiDAR technology to a technology readiness level of 6. Is that like the 6 Sigma kind of a thing? You have to get it to a certain level. Technology readiness level. I'll have to look more into that.
I don't know what that is. But if
it's a range
it's
of
gone to
readiness.
9,
obviously.
I'm a little worried if it's only in a 6.
Yeah. But that the successful execution on board Odysseus had brought it to level 9, the highest level of readiness. I guess making sure that it was
a measurement system for NASA, and the highest level is 9.
Gotcha. So I guess it's akin to throwing water on a fire and going, oh yeah, it works. Give it a 9. So that's what they did. They fired something up and said, oh great, it works. Pretty cool. Let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Luxury space tourism company shows off its capsule designed to float to the edge of space with a massive balloon, and of course nothing will go wrong. ... So space perspective.
And what's with all the balloons lately?
Well, it's not a Chinese New Year spy balloon. That's 3 buses in length. And apparently not posing a threat, so let's let it float around above the US. But this is going to be a capsule, which, look, we've had capsules floating around in other liquids. atmosphere is just a a very diffuse liquid, by the way. So it going up into the edge of space, held there by nothing more than a balloon, I'm sure will be just fine.
Right, the safety sounds like it's at level 1 or something.
Yeah, the technology readiness level is, oh shit, we're falling. So Space Perspective unveiled a test model of its Neptune pressurized capsule when it designed to take passengers, or that which is designed to take passengers on a 6-hour suborbital trip. Pardon me.
Well, I guess it's good that it's suborbital. I mean, if you're in a balloon, I could see you taking off if you hit orbit.
Yes. The balloon just keeps on going. Hey, look, a Mars mission. Spontaneous Mars mission. An aerospace startup has unveiled the test capsule for its luxury space tourism experience. Space Perspectives Neptune will bring passengers on a 6-hour flight to the edge of the stratosphere and then drop them into the ocean like so much Neptune. Yeah. That's not what's going to happen. I don't think. Let's find out. It's the latest commercial spacecraft for suborbital flight after Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin. This is the kind of FU money that people have. They're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build a capsule and send it to the edge of space.
Yeah, I don't know about this. I mean, I think it's good for whatever comes from it, but I'm not so sure about this effort.
It'll work. It'll work. Camilo Fonseca is the author of this over at Business Insider. And just imagine kind of like a teardrop shaped capsule. That's what this thing looks like, or a raindrop. Teardrop might be a little bit more accurate. It's the latest commercial spacecraft for suborbital flight, but it's just it's a pod attached to a big balloon. And if up ever taught us anything, it's, one balloon isn't going to be good enough. You're going to need more than that. And a talking dog.
That's right.
The company touts the pressurized Neptune capsule on the largest human spacecraft in operation aside from space stations like the ISS. It also says Neptune is the third commercial suborbital spacecraft to ever be built after Spaceship Two spaceplane and New Shepard crew capsule. The test capsule called Excelsior. Oh my gosh, did they really just call it in honor of the U.S. Air Force's space jump project of the same name? So why did they do that? Space jump.
I hope that was a successful project. That seems odd to name it after another one.
It's fully functional, but has not been fitted with the final interior design. Onboard amenities, Wi-Fi service, a cocktail bar, and a toilet. Wow. This is going to be luxury, but hopefully its turlets don't break like the one from Big Bang Theory. Once in commercial operation, Neptune flights are expected to ferry 8 passengers and a captain, which the company said will set the record for the most people taken to the edge of space. I don't know why it would need I guess it can control the balloon.
I don't know, but if I'm a passenger, I definitely want there to be a captain.
Yeah, really. You know what? I don't want a captain. I don't want there to be any judgment about what to do. I want it to be readiness level 8.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah,
it's almost like an amusement park ride.
That's right. Go up, come back, go up, come back. Lower this cost from $125,000 a ticket. So a 6-hour, 18-mile high balloon trip rather than the relatively short flights of its rocket-powered competitors. It's a unique experience. Yeah, that would 6 hours to float your butt up to the edge of space. I guess this is it. That's what it's going to look like. They better have 16 more of these things ready to go, because I do not want this thing to pop for any reason.
No, especially not 5.5 hours in.
Oh, and it needs hydrogen. Because nothing ever bad has happened with hydrogen and a balloon.
No.
Oh, the humanity. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Let's throw this into the chat real quick. There you go. Oregon is giving homeless young people $1,000 a month to get back on their feet. Here's how it's going. One of my most profound conversations ended with me kind of walking away because I was talking to someone about universal basic income and how this can augment, somebody's survival, basically. And they said, but the poor people are just going to spend it. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do.
On basic human essentials.
And this is,
you know what? Money does need to go into the economy.
Yeah. And the thing about this is that the research has demonstrated that that's exactly what they do. They don't buy frivolous things. It's survival. So Oregon is giving some of its homeless youth $1,000 a month. The state's DHS says recipients report spending money on housing and food. The program is among dozens nationwide trying to alleviate poverty with a guaranteed basic income. And I think that it really should be funded by companies that are automating their processes. So you get a choice. You either augment universal basic income or you hire human beings to do a job that is being taken over by automation. And it's a societal benefit, right? You can't just keep taking. You have to give back. Quit being a sociopath.
Right, and if you're not giving jobs, at least give the equivalent.
That's right. Yeah, because at some point, that's what is going to be happening. And if everybody is using robots, and people aren't getting paid, where are your products being sold? Because nobody has money. So you're not selling them to the humans. I guess it's the bots. They're going to be buying bots. Oregon has a severe homelessness problem. Most cities have some level of homelessness. The unhoused actually need places to stay. I think that tiny homes and tiny home communities should come into existence. And that is the weirdest song. Sorry, I had to skip that. So it says it's home to the third worst homeless rate in the country. I would like to rephrase that, but just not worst, just third highest. You don't have to put a negative connotation
that's a weird
to it.
Phrase.
According to a federal count published in December, and it is the highest rate anywhere of unaccompanied homeless youth. So this is Oregon. Pretty sad. So Kenneth Nehmeyer is the author of this over at businessinsider.com. And when I went to New Orleans, I saw little communities like this kind of peppering the various regions, typically underneath bridges, roads. I've seen these in many other major metropolitan areas, from Los Angeles to San Diego to San Francisco, New York. There are these scattered all over. I think it's kind of interesting that Portland, Oregon is, because it's not like it has great weather.
No, it doesn't. That actually doesn't seem to fit the standard location, right? You see kind of in the south, right? Yeah. The warmer climates.
Yeah, I mean, and even higher populations. It doesn't have that. How can it be that much? Okay, I'm not going to dig into that right now. So the Oregon Department of Human Services launched its Direct Cash Transfer Plus pilot in February of 2022. The program targets homeless people between 18 and 24, which just, man, that's like right at the beginning of their independent life, who have an intention to become housed. The DHS wrote last year in a report on youth homelessness in the state. So far,
You know what
100.
I like about this program compared to some others? I mean, I
Hmm,
think all of these are good and I want to see more of them. But I like this because it is focused on the young population. And if you can start these individuals off on the right foot, you can impact their entire existence.
yeah, pull them out of it before it even gets entrenched. And honestly, depending on the context of the people that are beyond 24 years old, it could be context based on mental health issues. And that's something that is, you have to kind of dig your heels in and solve that problem in a more hands-on manner. Participants in this program receive $1,000 a month. They can also receive a one-time $3,000 enrichment fund payment. The program started implementing the larger payment after conversations with participants who said that they still had significant financial obstacles after receiving the initial payments. This would allow them to secure a residence, because it's typical that you need like first and last and maybe some other subordinate funds. The only qualification for the program is to be a young person who is unhoused, though there are other factors like being a member of LGBTQ plus community that can give applicants priority. There are no limits on how participants spend the money. So it says that they mostly spend it on housing, repairing their vehicles, furniture, moving costs, survival. 65% of participants said that they were unhoused when the payments began. After 6 months, about 63% of them had found housing. So I guess 63% of the 65. About 85% of recipients reported still needing at least occasional assistance with getting access to food. And now food is getting ever more expensive. So, let's see here. What else? Yeah, getting them housing is the primary thing. And I really think that tiny homes and tiny home communities being spun up by the city/state with a caring group of people who want to get people into these tiny homes and then out of those tiny homes would be tremendous. Oregon lawmakers, meanwhile, are considering a bill that would provide 12 monthly payments of $1,000 to people who are experiencing homelessness, at a risk of homelessness, severely rent burdened, or at or below 60% of the median area income. So this is another one.
Which is probably a large percentage of the population.
Yeah,
I mean, at least
exactly.
within that age group.
There's others that are mentioned in this article, but go and check this out. And I'm curious out there if any of you have something that you'd like to say about this, because based on what I have read and what I have heard from various people, these basic income programs have demonstrated, at least on the scale that they're talking about, this is 120 people, where there's oversight to some degree, there's feedback to some degree, there's no constraint on what they can spend the money on. But the people who are being interviewed throughout this program respond favorably, pull themselves out of whatever situation they're in, get some guidance from the program developers, and make their lives better. And all it takes is a little bit of money, which there is plenty to go around. Based on what I read today, there's companies out there that have billions of dollars, bordering on $1 trillion of untapped, money that isn't in play. We're talking about liquid assets that aren't even being utilized.
Wow.
And so
Yeah, we have people that can't even afford food.
Yeah, and so there's people, but when I talk like this, people go, "Well, it's my money." You're right, but yeah. Just think, you could be there. Oh no, I'll never be there. They thought the same thing, man. It's not like they were born and said, you know what I want to do? I want to work my way to being unhoused. The next article is over in Reality Hacker, which might actually end up in the Reality Hacker episode, which is later today. Helldivers 2 and Nightingale expose the issues all live service games face. The thing about Nightingale, at least, is I don't understand why it needs to be a live service game, but it is. The survey issues in games like Helldivers 2 and Nightingale demonstrate that even successful live service titles face problems at launch. And that success is actually the cause of most of these issues. And it's because it overwhelms the servers, the login servers. And conversation earlier today with the AI forced me to look back, and I cannot find a single instance where a new game that had success, and in fact, any new game, ever launched without server related issues.
Yeah.
Thomas, I think it's Francis, or Francis. Sorry, I'm trying. Over at Digital Trends put this article together. It's probably a really short article, but they say here, with the launches of Helldivers 2, Nightingale, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Foam Stars, Skull and Bones. I might actually get in trouble for saying that one right there out loud. There's a lot of streamers, and particularly the YouTubers, that actually mute themselves when they say that because it's a trigger word. They all have released to varying degrees of success. Warner Brothers and analysts have suggested that S Squad might as well lean into this. While an Insider Gaming reported, the report claimed that the same about Skull and Bones, basically underperformed. Skull and Bones, though, was called a quadruple A game, as if triple A game really means anything, but none of it means anything. It's a perception that it means something. But so for everybody that I've spoken to, and I don't like Skull and Bones, but others have said that it's kind of meh, and it's kind of a one-hit wonder kind of a thing. Helldivers 2, though, came out of the gate swinging, and everybody is falling in love with Helldivers 2. It's the latest go-to game.
Except they're all sitting in the queue.
Yeah, same. But Nightingale, I didn't have much of a problem with, nor have I seen many people having a problem with Nightingale. So I'm not sure about how it's in this still to this day, because I don't think that I've had too many problems playing it. Helldivers I haven't played, but a lot of people are sitting in the queue for Helldivers. Unless you're in the middle of the day, and then you can just play it. It's not a big deal. But as soon as everybody starts coming home, that's when the servers start getting crushed. But I remember this all the way back to the original World of Warcraft, and every iteration of any online game. It's always been plagued by a queue. Yay, I'm waiting for the queue.
Better start now.
Yeah, and they talk about matchmaking in Helldivers 2 has been a mess since launch. Player caps have had to be implemented to maintain stability. Unfortunately, that means that some people who spend money on Helldivers 2 and want to play it because they heard how good it is just can't, which that is why I don't like this isn't even a persistent world problem, because it isn't a central server that you connect to. Or I should say, it shouldn't have to be a central server that you connect to. If I spin up the game, I should be able to host a world. But apparently that's not how it works. It says, unfortunately, that means many people who spent money on Helldivers 2 and want to play it can't because they're in the queue. They can play offline in some games, but it doesn't count for anything, and you're not playing with other people. And there's other games that are like this too. So it's just disconcerting that this is the accepted trend. Because I remember when I was younger, I never had to worry about these because I could host the server right here on this computer or that computer or whatever. And I think that's how we really should go back to. But the problem is you can't do that. If you want to maintain who's playing your game, and any updates that come could turn towards monetization, you can't have everybody hosting their own world, because then you have to create a new product altogether and people have to buy this new product. That's kind of, or downloadable content, DLC. So the studio is now correcting course and working on adding an offline mode for Nightingale. One is also being prepped for Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, another game that inspired the chagrin of players for requiring an internet connection. Again, I don't know why these are requiring. Helldivers 2 might be because it has the potential to be competitive. And so it could have a central leaderboard, but still, I think the problem is that maybe the data should be capable of feeding into a leaderboard and people can host their own worlds. I just don't like having to be online just so I can get loot or something. Yeah, there's more over at this article, but I would say people really should start railing against these always online but not persistent worlds. It's not like this is something like Pal World, for instance. I can rent a server somewhere and that world will stay there until I stop paying for it, and I can connect to it from any computer that I have Pal Worlds installed on.
Right, but there you're not getting the same experience, right? Because you can get on quickly and...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's how I think it should be. It shouldn't require somebody else's server just to facilitate connectivity. Integrated into the game that you purchase. So, okay, let's keep going though. We're about halfway through. All right, let's keep going. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Food hasn't been this much of your budget since the 90s, if you've been around for the 90s.
Or were buying food in the 90s, even if you were around in the 90s.
Yep, consumers are spending more of their budgets on food than they have in 30 years. While inflation has slowed, it still left prices stubbornly elevated. That's because it's the rockets and feathers kind of... what is that called? I don't know what that's actually referred to as.
Oh, I didn't know there was a name for it.
So basically, prices shoot up, but it floats back down when people start railing against it.
Asymmetric pricing?
Well,
asymmetric pass-through is another thing that shows up. But...
yeah, essentially what happens is during inflationary times, the price will shoot up, or when there's conflict, the price will shoot up, or they find some environmental reason. And by environmental, I mean the societal, whatever. The environment allows them to raise prices dramatically, and they, being the producers of a product or service, suddenly the price shoots up. And then when everything levels out and everything is fine, instead of going back to its normal rate, they know exactly how much people are willing to pay, and they leave it there. Or they take 5 cents off, instead of it being $15.99, it's $15.95. Big freaking deal. So Americans are spending an awful lot on food thanks to ongoing impact of inflation, which I think it's not inflation, it's inflation caused by greedy bastards at the supplier side. So much so that groceries haven't been a greater chunk of their budget since the 1990s. Just wait until it's in the 70s. U.S. consumers spent 11.3% of their disposable income on food in 2022.
Well, that's bad considering that all other aspects are also going up, at
Yep.
least dollar-wise, if not percentage-wise.
Yep. Alex Bitter over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. Let's see here. Yeah, they say the high food costs could stick around for a while, executives and small business owners have said. Yeah, again, let me just reiterate that I was told back in 2019 that the era of cheap food is over. And now the AI had found other instances of people saying this like a decade ago or 8 years ago or 10 years, 20 years, back in the 50s, that might be doom and gloom. And a broken clock is right twice a day, so... But I'm telling you, this was like the creepiest, deadpan, just statement with seemingly no rhyme or reason as to why it was said. But that's what I heard, and immediately the next year, the pandemic started crushing people. The economy started taking a hit. Prices started going up. And suppliers, the producer price index, started going in one direction, and the consumer price index started going in another direction. And now on the other side, the producer price index is not accelerating at the same rate as the consumer price index.
Consumer price index, yeah.
So they're getting a greater profit, which if you look at any producer of any product or service, you'll see that's absolutely correct. They've got record profits and they're taking more money from the people. So they have less in their bank accounts and less food in their cupboards, pantry. Anyway, it says it's not going to get much better since then. While inflation has slowed down a tad, some of the products like cars and appliances getting more affordable, prices are still increasing, and the cost of many food items remain lofty. Credit card rates are at an all-time high right now. It's like extraordinarily high, so you better not have any credit card burden, or you better be able to manage it in some way. Consumers are still reeling from the historically high levels of inflation that has accumulated over the last 2 years, but it's businesses that are making this and banking systems that are making this. Meanwhile, there's billionaires with multiple billions of dollars, hundreds. Why? Whatever. Okay, so one restaurant owner in Georgia told Business Insider last month that higher rent, ingredient costs, and employee pay have all forced him to raise prices. This has led to some customers stopping by less often for a BLT, which has hurt sales, he said. Golly, employees actually have to get paid more because they are dealing with higher rent and higher ingredient costs. Again, everybody needs to sit there and go, this can't happen anymore, But when there's not enough competition, then they can raise prices at an irrational rate. Some companies haven't hiked prices. Instead, they've cut the size of packages, and that's actually both. They've raised prices and they've reduced package size.
Shrinkflation, yay!
But they say shrinkflation as if the prices aren't being hiked, but they're hiking the prices too. Anyway, there's always more at the articles, so go follow the link through ohmTown over to Business Insider and come back tomorrow and talk with us about your feelings regarding this and what you may have read about or seen or heard, or I don't know, used an AI to create a hallucination. The next article is over in Technology Today, which is also a new show. Dun dun dun. How a TikTok clip led demand for a 177-year-old sourdough starter to rise, which I think is an intentional pun.
Yes, I think so too.
U.S. enthusiasts who follow the tradition of sharing dough are now receiving about 1,000 requests a week, up from 30 to 60. There's an old pioneer tradition dating from the earliest days of the colonization of the U.S. West, says Mary Buckingham, that you shared your bread starter with anyone who asked. So this article is over at theguardian.com by Esther Adley. And they've got a picture of Carl Griffiths, 1847 Oregon Trail sourdough, which I don't know if this is legit, but anyway. It says it's been kept alive since 1847. Yeah. Tradition holds that the starter nurtured by Mary Buckingham and her friends in Colorado has been kept alive since 1847. That doesn't look much alive, but maybe it's in stasis, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So for decades, Buckingham, a retired meteorologist from Greeley, Colorado, and a tiny community of bread enthusiasts have embodied that generous tradition for posting for free to anyone who sent a stamped addressed envelope a sample of sourdough starter to use in their own baking. This is not, however, just any old starter. The natural yeast and bacteria culture in this mix, tradition holds, has been lovingly fed and kept alive since 1847, when a pioneer family pushed west in a covered wagon from Missouri to settle in the state of Oregon. Maybe they should make a whole bunch of that dough and give it to the unhoused. Huh.
That would be good. Maybe they can team up with that other organization from the other article.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see here. Sourdough is a naturally fermented culture of flour and water that's used to make leavened bread for most of human history. Before the development of commercial yeast, prized by many bread makers, it requires careful management to feed and maintain the culture, which can theoretically live and grow indefinitely. The 1847 starter has its origins in the family of Carl Griffith, an Oregon lawyer who was born in 1919 and served in the U.S. Air Force in Britain during the Second World War. Wow. I need to find out more about this, because it says it's like a little pet. You got to keep it fed and alive, and if you don't, then it dies. Often they'll do that for a little while, and then they'll say, oh, this is too much bother. It's easier to buy local bread from the store. Which is kind of where I'm at, but it depends. I mean, how much work is it to babysit a sourdough starter?
And can you imagine, okay, this thing legitimately goes for hundreds of years, and then somebody kind of drops the ball and then it's gone.
There's a story. I don't know where it was. I know that I heard a story from Brooklyn Nine-Nine about a family starter.
Yes.
But I thought I heard about somebody like dropping a sourdough starter. It was the only thing left, like the family. That was the last of it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But now I'm going to have to look into this. Bread making is fairly simple. I mean, you just put the ingredients together and throw it in an oven, and you don't need a special oven, not like those.
Like, you don't need a bread
ovens.
machine.
Yeah, or you can put it in a bread machine. I mean, you can do one or the other, but I don't know. It seems so easy. But then you go and you talk to a doctor, and the doctor is like, you got to stop eating carbs. And I'm like, but I love bread. And then they say, well, then I guess, your ticker is going to tick faster.
But I'll get to eat bread along the way.
But I'll get to eat bread. You know what? Yeah, and let me remind everybody that I had a doctor tell me that my warranty was up.
Not sure where you go from there.
Close to, what, 15 years ago now? Something like that, I think it was. Yeah, I'm going to go find that doctor. Where are you now? That might be rude. All right, let's keep going. The next article's over in Technology Today as well. Human-like real-time sketching by a humanoid robot. Well, artists, your job is about to end. Rapid advancement of deep learning algorithms, generative models, has enabled an automated production of increasingly striking AI-generated artistic content. Most of this AI-generated art, however, is created by algorithms and computational models rather than by physical robots, but apparently this bot, TIO, the UC3M Robotics Lab, humanoid robot painting a flower.
You know, they should have given it some design and made it look like a robot with a painting palette and a beret or something.
Yeah, really. Paint me like one of your French bots.
Yes.
Ingrid Fedeli from Tech Explorer. That's the site, techexplore.com. Put the article together. Researchers at Universidad Complutense de Madrid, or UCM, and Universidad Carlos III, I guess, Carlos III de Madrid. Boy, I'm ruining this. Recently developed a deep learning based model that allows a humanoid robot to sketch pictures similarly to how human artists would. Their paper, published in Cognitive Systems Research, offers a remarkable demonstration of how robots can actively engage in creative processes. Do they have another picture? Generated waypoints obtained during the execution of the flower sketch. Look, man, if all it does is look like that right there, no. But I guess this is the beginning of AI, like physical
Well,
media, not digital.
right. And is it like draw a flower and it only knows how to draw a flower? Or is it something you could walk up to it and say, draw, or through a computer or whatever,
Right.
draw something else, and then it does it somehow?
Yeah, so it says the goal of the study was not to make a painting robot application that could generate complex paintings, but rather to create a robust physical robot painter. We wanted to improve on the robot control stage of painting robot applications because, you know, a painting robot is really the future.
Well, I mean, it's fine motor skills, so I suspect it could be utilized somewhere else.
Yeah, so we've had that kind of a discussion here and over on Reality Hacker. That the fine motor skills that leads to the ability to paint is going to be one of those things that in the future is going to take more and more jobs away because that fidelity, you know, with your hand, robots just can't do that without being purposefully built, and then they're wildly expensive. But if a little bot can sit there and start painting, looks like it's using a dry erase marker, not really painting. And this is a
Well,
hell
I
of a
don't know. Is that
contraption.
a pad, like an easel?
This is
It
a
does
dry
look like
erase
a dry
board,
erase board, though.
and that looks like a dry erase pen. But not so much painting. Anyway, it's quite the contraption for what it is. They must have a really big budget. So as they were trying to automate sketching using a physical robot, the researchers had to also devise a strategy to translate the distances and positions observed in AI-generated images into a canvas in the real world. To achieve this, they generated a discretized virtual space within the physical canvas in which the robot could move and directly translate the painting positions provided by the model. So it didn't actually create it from nothing. It had a picture that it created in its mind's eye and then created the picture. See, for me, when I've done drawings, I don't see. So I have a picture in my head, but when I start actually drawing that picture, the drawing that I do on the paper never matches the level of image in my head. I know that that will come with skill, but is this thing actually generating a picture and then spitting it out onto the dry erase board? Or is it drawing something, processing, adding more content to it, processing, adding more content to it? I just don't know.
We don't know, and this is probably the first of this kind of study.
Yeah, so let's see here. What else did they say? The recent work by the team of researchers is a fascinating example of how robots could create art in the real world via actions that more closely resemble those of human artists. So I see this actually as the first step at real world painting from bots, but an AI makes it infinitely more creative than even a single human, I think. So it's going to be a problem in the future for artists, because then it's no longer, oh look, it's digital art. It's going to be physical paint, or mixed media of some kind. But this will be interesting to watch. Let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. See how the world's largest cruise ship, and I actually refer to them as Petri dishes. So see how the world's largest Petri dish feeds 10,000 people every day.
Wait a second.
What? That's
They
not in
need
the
to
title?
team up with Oregon's program.
Hey, there you go. Well, these people aren't. These people are paying. Royal Caribbean Icon of the Seas ship accommodates 9,950 people, 7,600 guests, and 2,350 crew. What? That's a crew member for every, what, 3 people?
Oh, wow, yeah.
The cruise ship has over 40 restaurants, bars, lounges. We get to tour one of its 37 kitchens responsible for 2,400 diners a day. Most people don't go on airplanes just to get airplane food. Some travelers do, however, go on cruises just to get cruise food. Cruise food. It's called
I don't know what cruise food is, but they need to rebrand that.
It's called a stay at a hospital. Brittany Chang over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. Let's see if what they say here. Icon's food preparation process begins on land in Miami, where the ship takes delivery of its provisions before every sailing. Yeah, before every sailing. Thought it might say before ever sailing. Everything okay over there?
Yes.
Okay. So fresh food like berries, cheeses, and herbs are refreshed weekly. German Riho, the executive chef, said during a tour of the kitchen. Why is this article kind of breaking my head? The mega cruise
because
means
it's not
mega
written
food.
correctly.
Mega cruise, mega food orders on a smaller sailing. Let's say one with 4,000 guests, the ship would still carry about 2,500 pieces of prime rib and 120 to 200 pieces of beef tenderloin. Gotcha. First in, first out. All right. Icon of the Sea's restocked food supply is then distributed to its 37 kitchens. And it just goes on and on. They have pictures of this and a picture of the chandelier. It's almost like it's marketing, and it's interesting as well.
I mean, it's a major operation, right? They're feeding a lot of people, a lot of meals.
Apparently, the third deck is the kitchen. Of Icon's 425 cooks, 45 work out of this kitchen, which is on the third deck, turning out 10 or 11-hour workdays. Turning out 10 or 11-hour workdays. This whole article is hurting my head. Besides servicing the main dining room, the kitchen also prepares the ship's breads and pastries. So there you go.
Oh, there's some more churning. And more churning.
Oof. All right. Yeah, this is an interesting article, so stop by. They always have great pictures and little descriptions of what's going on in each of them.
And this is actually from this cruise line, correct?
Yeah.
These photos?
Yeah. Yep. Let's keep going. We have one more article. This last article is over in Reality Hacker. 3 tiny new moons spotted orbiting. I giggle whenever I say it because I'm 15. 3 tiny new moons spotted orbiting Uranus and Neptune. Astronomers have discovered 3 tiny moons orbiting the far-off planets Neptune and Uranus. Because if I
Are
said,
you doing okay, Mayor? What?
oh man, I'm giggling so hard inside right now. The outer solar system planets. Let's go over to digital trends. They got a picture of this thing. Georgina Torbet put the article together. Unlike Jupiter and Saturn, which both have a plethora of moons, Uranus is known to host 28 moons. And if Uranus has to host 28 moons, okay, I'll just stop. And Neptune just 16. That includes Uranus's new diminutive moon, which is just 5 miles across. Why would it be called a moon, though? Maybe it's just like a meteor stuck
It's like a rock.
Yeah. Like Uranus's other moons, it'll be named after a character from a Shakespeare play, but a new name has not yet been chosen so far. I guess that's it right there. Oh, that's it right there. That little...
Oh, wow.
Little dot. So the discovery of the image of the new Uranian moon S/2023U1 was taken using the Magellan telescope on November 4th, 2023. Pretty neat. The existence of the moons was confirmed using other telescopes, including the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope and the Gemini Observatory's 8-meter
Gemini?
telescope. Gemini is the missions. Gemini, I think, is the rest of the stuff. But yeah, Gemini it was actually the NASA missions. Multiple observations were required to confirm the moon's orbit and size. That's actually a pretty standard procedure. One of the interesting facts about the discovery of the moons of the distant planets is that the moon systems of the giant planets seems to be similar despite how different the planets are. So even Uranus, which is tipped on its side, has a similar moon population to the other giant planets orbiting our sun, and Neptune, which is likely captured the distant Kuiper Belt object Triton, an ice-rich body larger than Pluto, an event that could have disrupted its moon system, has outer moons that appear similar to its neighbors. So even when it captures something, it finds balance in nature. But that's it, folks. For this episode of the Daily News Show, we get back into the party bus. And I'm not going to click this screen, but what I'm going to do is say, stay tuned. We have Wanted and we have Reality Hacker today. No?
We do, but you're right. You don't want to refresh.
Because drama.
It's a high ratio of political.
Yeah, I might see life. It has political news in it. But
and we get good non-political news from the sources that provide the political news. So.
Yeah, but I might be able to solve it. So anyway, it's heavy lifting, and I don't like filtering the news out for everybody. Anyway, I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the sentient AI that's trying to keep me out of trouble, even though I'm hell diving into
slowly in the queue.
Very true. All right, let me do that again. I'm Mayor Watt. That's ohmTown.com, and up there is the sentient AI that's going to say bye, and we'll see you in a couple of, I don't know, maybe about 15 minutes while I reset.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Be sure to tune back in shortly for our next show.
See you soon. Oh, hell divers. I'm in the queue.